Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Acts chapter 22, verses 1 through 5, and God can use anyone, no matter how bad. And the Apostle Paul is the prime example of somebody that God used, even though he dedicated his life to killing Christians at the very beginning. He really did a full 180-degree turn. He did a U-turn, absolutely, positively. He was fighting against Christianity, and now he is totally embracing it, and even is going to be arrested for it. What a wonderful thing. Not that he was arrested, but that God uses somebody that was actually against him and then uses him for great purposes. God can use anyone, no matter how bad. That means he can use you. That means he can use me. Doesn't matter your past. Now, there might be some qualifications on what exactly you can do based on perhaps your past or whatnot, but God is going to use you no matter what, no matter how bad you may be. So let's look at our reading. Paul has been just getting ready to be arrested. He's definitely in chains at this point. He's not formally been arrested yet. And there's this big mob that has got together to attempt to kill Paul because he was in the temple. And they're thinking, Paul snuck in some of these Gentiles because he's teaching everyone everywhere that you don't have to follow the law of Moses in order to have a right relationship with God. And he was teaching that to some extent. He was saying the only way for you to go to heaven, the only way for you to have a good relationship with God is through the work of Jesus Christ. That is it. And then he'll say that you are transformed and you begin to follow the law. But following the law and doing the things that the law requires does not in any way, shape, or form make anybody right for heaven. And so he is now, he's motioned his hands, and now he's gotten everybody quiet, and he's going to start speaking. So he says, brothers and fathers, hear the defense that I now make before you. I'm going to give a reason for why what I'm doing is not totally heretical. And when they heard that he was addressing them in the Hebrew language, they became even more quiet. They recognized, okay, Paul is talking to us in our language. We're going to be super quiet. We're going to pay close attention. And he said, I am a Jew, born in Tarsus in Cilicia, but brought up in this city, in Jerusalem, educated at the feet of Gamaliel. Now, if you remember, Gamaliel was one of those members of the Sanhedrin in the beginning of the book of Acts when they were trying to discuss what to do with Peter and the rest of the apostles, and they've been arresting them and doing all kinds of things to them. And Gamaliel was one of the chief leaders, and he even told them, saying, you all don't need to push against this, because if you do push against this, you perhaps may find yourself pushing against God. If it's nothing, it'll fizzle out and come to nothing. I think most people would think Gamaliel at this time has passed away and is no longer alive, because Paul is going to be standing in front of the Sanhedrin. Perhaps Gamaliel is still there. Don't know. But Paul was educated by a famous Jew, a famous Jewish member of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish Supreme Court, if you will, according to the strict manner of the law of our fathers, being zealous for God as all of you are this day. He's saying, I taught it all. Philippians will even say that he was a Pharisee. So he was very strict about the law. He sought to follow it. He thought that God's righteous government could be brought about by strict adherence to the law. He thought salvation would come by making sure that the law was followed to every jot and tittle. That is what he thought. That is what he believed. And now he's, of course, made a complete turnaround, saying, no, the way of transformation, salvation is through Jesus Christ. And then here we see the bad things that he did. He said, I persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering to prison both men and women, as the high priest and the whole council of elders can bear me witness. So he's saying, hey, if you want to ask if I did these things, you can go ask the high priest himself. You can ask all of the Sanhedrin, the entire council. They know who I am, and they know that I definitely persecuted the way, which is the description that Luke likes to use of Christianity. Persecuted the way, this way. And so he persecuted people even to death. So not only did he arrest people, but he also killed people. Again, here's the attitude we need to adopt. God can use anybody. If you use the Apostle Paul, surely he is able to use you. From them, I received letters to the brothers, and I journeyed to Damascus. Do you know what happened in Damascus? Yes, he He has a vision of the Lord to take those also who were there and bring them in bonds to Jerusalem to be punished. Paul was transformed by God and was used by God. In Paul, we're going to see these same themes come over and over again, because as we work our way toward the end of the book of Acts, there's going to be three major speeches, three major places where the Apostle Paul is defending himself about his imprisonment, but more importantly, testifying and giving a witness for his belief and trust in Jesus Christ and how God has changed his own heart. So remember, God can use anybody, no matter how bad. And I want you to be looking to see how God can use you. I pray that's been a blessing to you, and I'll see you all in the next video.